What is he doing?
New Remedy theme song.
I love how Tom is always so full of surprises.
Yeah. I like the Huey Lewis better.
I'm like, is he? Yeah. Oh my God, that was so funny. I'm like, is he messing up or?
No, I just.
Or is he trying something
No, that
new?
really is pretty.
It is
I was
pretty.
basically thinking
Piano
of
was-
I was ready to just change it just because it's fun to like freshen it up every now and again. But
I love it.
I was looking for. I Googled songs with Remedy in the lyrics. And there's actually an Adele song called Remedy.
Oh, I love that song.
And so I had my friend Adam like recreate that song so that we're not actually using her song. And it took, so he just kind of took that opening riff and put the little drum thing on there. And there you go.
well, that's
Well,
very
that's
good.
interesting.
Wow.
Here it
That's
is.
so good.
Here it is
Nice
again.
work.
Here it is again.
Okay.
When it fades out, you can start the show.
Show.
Well, hello everyone, and welcome to the very next episode of The Remedy with Tova Sido and
Janice Gaunt, and
Tom Bridwell.
love that, Tom.
I guess I'll stop playing the piano now.
Oh, very tasty.
That's beautiful. That is a beautiful
it is
very
beautiful.
zen.
Very zen.
very Remedy-like. Mm-hmm. And I love that it's after Adele. I love Adele.
I know, she's so good.
Oh, she's so good.
Indeed.
How was everybody's 4th?
Good. Fun.
A lot of fun.
Yeah.
Where were you, Tom?
We went to
Possum
Possum
Kingdom.
Kingdom, and this is our 7th day without Betty. She's at summer camp.
But who's counting?
Yeah, exactly. Well, I mean, exactly.
You're having fun?
Indeed. I woke up this morning and just left Maureen asleep in the bed and went and played tennis. I played with Britt Morris, actually.
Oh, yes.
And this is crazy. We were playing tennis, and he told me, he goes, "Hey, Whitney said that you guys were laughing pretty hard on that last podcast," and I couldn't even believe that Whitney was listening to it. I was like, "What? Whitney listens to the podcast?" Like I was more blown away by that than anything.
Yeah, she texted me a couple of weeks ago and was
That's
like,
funny.
please send me the link. I want to be listening to y'all. No, y'all, I listened to the last 6 minutes of our last episode like 10 times
You did?
because it made me laugh so hard. And I was trying to see like, okay, if I listen to it, does it have, because so many people reached out about how funny that the Kegels one was. And I was like, would it be that funny to me? No, it was hilarious to me. I'm like,
awesome.
we're the ones doing it. And
we're
it
like,
made me laugh so hard.
Good.
I mean,
we like to make you laugh.
yeah, everyone was like, Janice and Tom were in rare form. I mean, I was just a giggle box on the thing, laughing at the two of you. Just, oh my God, the whole Kegels, bagels. Do you have a muscle down there? I mean, I was dying laughing. Did either of y'all listen to it?
Oh, yeah, I did.
I went back and listened to it once. It was pretty funny.
I thought it was
laughed.
funny, too.
I laughed. So
I laughed also.
if you have no idea what we're talking about, and that's probably what Whitney was laughing at too. I got a lot of crying emojis and very funny. I sent
cool.
y'all a couple.
That's awesome.
Very fun. Okay, we got to thank our sponsor today. They're anonymous, but
Okay.
we're grateful so
Yeah.
much, and we love all sponsors, whether they're known or not known, but just really appreciate anybody who reaches out to us and wants to sponsor, whether it's an individual or a big company or small company. We appreciate all of our sponsors and all of our listeners.
We do. We do.
Heck yeah. Okay, so today we are going to talk about 10 places, I guess places, spaces, and times that you should stay silent. Ooh.
Well, we'll see.
Yeah, we'll see if we agree
You're
with
not
this
the
or
boss
not.
of me.
Exactly.
I'll try to stay silent.
I read through this before we did the show, and there's one glaring. They left one off that's just very glaring, but I'll wait till the end.
Okay,
to tell.
good.
Can't. Maybe we'll guess it. Maybe we can all say what we think that they left off.
We'll see.
Okay, 10 places you should keep your mouth shut.
So it's going to be hard.
It's going to be hard. Number 1, be silent if you can't talk without yelling.
Yeah.
Well, yeah.
Unless you're at a Red Raider football game
Yeah. If you're
or
in a-
basketball.
if you're in a game, you can yell all you want. But if it's at another human,
Yeah. Yeah.
probably should stay quiet.
I agree.
I'm really bad about getting emotional when I don't know. I can definitely talk without yelling, but then whenever I feel like I'm not conveying or somebody's arguing, I
You're
don't
not
know,
being
I
heard.
can ramp up pretty quickly.
So like with whom?
Pretty much anybody. I mean, Maureen yesterday, guys playing golf yesterday morning. We were arguing about the money. Just, just basically, it's easy when you explain it and then you have to explain it again because there's some pushback. I don't know. I feel like a lot of times it's hard for me to not ramp up and start to get emotional when I'm talking to somebody.
So emotional equals yelling?
Yeah, pretty much. I mean,
For
to
you.
me, isn't that what makes you yell when that's emotions that are coming out?
Like anger
Yeah.
or
Yeah.
Yeah.
For sure. For sure. That's
I mean,
emotion.
am I misunderstanding? Are they literally just saying volume is the only factor on this number 1? Be silent if you can't talk unless you can't talk quietly. That's not what they mean, right?
Well, I think that in the second one says be silent in the heat of anger. So that's kind of what I was thinking. Even the first one would be if I can't talk with somebody about something without yelling,
Yeah, I hear you. It's hard. That one's
Yeah.
hard for me sometimes.
Oh, I think that one's hard for a lot of people. I
Yeah.
think
Yeah.
when we feel like we're not being heard or understood or our opinions or feelings aren't being validated, then we just get bigger and louder, you know?
yeah,
Like, you can't hear me? Can you hear me now? You know?
yeah, exactly.
We just get bigger and louder. But it's, in my opinion, that's just a losing strategy. Getting bigger and louder doesn't inspire. It's been my experience that getting bigger and louder doesn't inspire people to, oh, he's yelling, now I'll listen.
Right.
It just
Right.
makes other people bigger and louder too.
Right.
Well, and I think yelling at people is abusive.
Yeah, you use that word a lot with yelling, and I've used it a lot with yelling, and people get really, whoa.
Yeah.
Like if you tell somebody, oh, you yell at her, that's abusive.
Yeah.
That's abuse. They're like, wait, because nobody wants to think that they're abusing somebody.
Right.
You know, we don't want to think if we're screaming at our children, we're abusing them, but we are. Mm-hmm. It's
Yes.
abuse. It's verbal abuse.
It is. It is.
I don't feel so bad for your tennis guys or your golf guys. Yeah.
And I don't think either one of us thinks we're abusing the other guy. And when Betty, my 9-year-old, yells at me, I don't think she's abusing me. I think she's just ticked.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
I would never think of that as her abusing me. That's funny. Now, maybe the other way around, but her yelling at me, I would never think of that as abuse. I would just think of it as brattiness or emotions. First, she gets the benefit of the doubt. But then if she just keeps doing it, she's just being a brat.
How do you look at that? If it's a child yelling at a parent, because I know a lot of teenagers and even little kids who yell at their.
Yeah, I still think it's abuse.
You do.
Yeah.
Yeah, I do.
I'm sure.
I do. I think that it's something that with our children, I think it's important that they understand that it's not okay to yell at people out of anger. I mean, if somebody's about to get hit by a car, you definitely want to yell at them.
Get out of the way. Yeah.
But it probably doesn't hurt to kind of try to teach kids not to yell. And I can remember when my girls were like in middle school and stuff, and they would yell at each other, and I would say, stop, it's abuse. You know, but it's hard. I mean, it's something that people have to learn and kind of practice. I can remember yelling when Kurt and I were married. I can remember yelling. I would yell. My mother yelled, and I think that's.
You came by it honestly.
Yeah, I learned that.
It wasn't that strange for you to yell because your mom yelled.
Yeah,
and
so it was kind of comfortable.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You grow up in a family where people yell, you yell.
Yeah.
It's not uncommon for you to yell.
Yeah, I agree.
So number 2 is kind of hand in hand with that first one, but be silent in the heat of anger. This one's interesting to me because this is one really easy when it's not you that's mad. Like if I'm seeing some anger building up anywhere between two people at the airport or somebody at a restaurant, or you just kind of, it's like an automatic reaction to just freeze up and not get involved or say anything. You just sit there and hope it doesn't blow in your direction.
Yeah, I agree.
Stay out of it.
So it's really easy
mind your
to
own
do
business. Yeah. Yeah. Anger is intimidating.
that. Definitely.
Anger scares me. Anger really does. Like, especially if I saw two people super angry at each other, if I see not that it happened, but if I'm in a place and it feels like somebody's going to fight.
Have you ever been someplace and they've fought?
Oh, yeah. It scares
me too.
It shakes me.
I can remember in high school, 2 of my guy friends duking it out in the parking lot, and I was standing there, and it was the most...
It's horrifying.
Oh, it's so disturbing.
Were they fighting over you?
Yes, duh.
No. Now, that would have been different. No, they were just mad at each other. And I can remember hearing them, that fist go into that face. It's just creepy.
I can't even watch fighting on television.
I can't either. Like boxing?
No.
No.
I don't.
Me neither.
I cannot watch somebody getting beat up. It is so upsetting to me.
It is.
It is real, and I don't want to watch blood.
Did you ever fight?
That's so weird. I just was asked this the other day, and I have never been in a fight. Never thrown a punch. Never been punched.
I think that's good for
job.
a guy.
Me too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Guys who can be like, "What are you looking at?" and like immediately bow up and start that shit. That scares me bad.
Yeah.
My friends were like, it's kind of a miracle that you've never been in a fight because of all the shit that you talk. But they're like, but you're huge, so nobody's gonna mess with you. And I was like,
Yeah,
True.
you are tall, and that would be intimidating.
Yes.
Yeah.
Like I bet he can.
Okay.
I was trying to take credit, like it's
With the
because
big
I've
wingspan.
always been like kind of humorous and able to like brain work my way out of a situation.
Yeah.
But they kind of let the wind out of my sails. It's really just because I'm big. That's really what it is. It's not my brains.
Well, I do. I mean, I think that that's something that you had to develop, I would think, as a guy. And as a big guy, there might have been people who kind of wanted to see if they could take you down.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Did your parents yell at you, Tom?
Yes. I don't really know. I've never come across any family that didn't do some yelling. My grandparents yelled at me, and grandparents are supposed to be the sweetest things ever. But man, my granddads, all of my granddads would let me have it when I was messing up. And
Wow.
I probably heard them yelling at grandmothers too.
Wow.
But I mean, if you're like really, if you can bounce back really quick, I've mentioned this in a previous podcast that with Maureen and I, we do get pretty heated, but we're very resilient. We like within 5 minutes, we're back to normal. Like nothing
that's
lasts.
the part that's really amazing to me.
Yeah.
And again, that has to do with humor. I try to drop these bombs when I finally have had enough and I'm ready to like get it back to normal. I'll just say something so ridiculous that it's funny and it just like kind of fixes everything.
I'm impressed that Maureen plays with that. Like if I was in the thick of something deep and harsh and with Craig and he like threw a joke out, I think I would. I don't think I'd laugh. I don't think I
well,
would find that fun. That would be really hard for me.
Me too. I mean, if I'm really angry, then I don't bounce back
Me neither.
immediately.
Me
I
neither.
will eventually.
For sure.
But it takes me some time. And I typically am silent in the anger, but I'm fuming inside. And then I have to kind of wait and let that dissipate.
I'm the exact same way.
And then
Janice.
I can be okay.
I'm not a fast bouncer backer.
Yeah.
And Craig is, so it's really annoying to him. He doesn't understand my process.
I feel like Maureen wasn't a fast bouncer backer or bounce backer,
Yeah, I made that up.
but I feel
Bouncer
like
backer.
I have turned her into one of those.
Wow.
I feel like she's got, because I've heard from her friends that she used to be like with her previous, she broke off an engagement before she met me. And that guy, apparently, they got in some massive brawls. And I feel like everyone was expecting and maybe wondering what it would be like with me. And whenever we're getting like super heated, I'm kind of like, all right, it's time to tap out. And I'll just throw in this like humor grenade that sometimes works. I feel like it works every time.
That's.
So, like, what kind of humor
I need
grenade?
to I need to understand this better.
Is it like how the chicken crossed the road?
Okay, so this actually happened yesterday. This is a perfect example. She called me. I was playing golf, and she called me, which she never does because she knows I'm playing golf. But she called, and she
So
said,
she
I'm really
obviously
sorry to
needed
bother
something.
you,
Yeah.
but I'm at the gas pump right now, and there's this homeless guy that's at my window, and he won't go away. What do I do? And I was like, I don't know. I mean, it's public. It's daylight. It's a homeless guy. He's not like, most of them are not like violent. He's probably just asking for money. I said, roll your window down and say, go away. And she's like, no, I don't want to roll my window down. So I basically was like, just get mean, like assert yourself like you do with me. And she didn't think that was very funny. So when I came home from golf, we got in this kind of fight about it. And then
Because you said just treat him like you treat me.
Yes, she
Okay.
didn't. She
She
didn't
didn't
like
think that
that
was funny.
response. Partly because it wasn't helpful with her, but also because she thought that maybe my guy friends were hearing me say that.
Oh, yeah.
So she didn't like that either.
Okay.
So
Fair.
we aired it out. We had, because we couldn't really talk right then, but once I came home, we like aired out all of our grievances about this situation, and it got pretty heated. But then she went upstairs, and about 10 seconds later, she said, will you let the dog out? And I texted back, do you think it's safe out there? And see, like that.
Oh,
that is what
that
ended
was
it.
minimizing what
no, but
she
that-
was doing, though.
You're totally right, but
And
that
she
was the
fell
end of
for
it,
it.
like right there.
Oh, that's
You're like the luckiest guy in the world.
yeah. I would not have been quite that resilient.
But like I think what's funny about it is like no guy in their right mind would literally say that. So it could only be interpreted as me joking around with her. You know what I'm saying? Like I feel like that's so
I don't think
crazy
that's
for
the
a dude to
only-
say that after this big fight that it like makes it funny.
I don't know. I don't know.
I think you got away with something.
I do too.
Well, I will tell you, that's how it happens most
Well,
of the time.
way
Wow.
to go. At least you've got that mastered.
You married the right girl.
You did marry the
'Cause
right
I don't know
girl.
many who would think. I mean, so Craig and I were at the lake over the weekend, and Craig can be kind of bossy in the kitchen, which drives me crazy because I'm
Hilarious.
like 52, raised 3 children, fed 2 athletic college players. Like I know how to get shit done in the kitchen. I don't need his direction. And if I ask for it, for sure give it to me. But he tends to give tips which come to me like criticism. And so we're making dinner for everybody and like 20 people at the lake. And I can see he's chopping up the brisket. It's almost ready. So I put the dressing on the salad and he was like, you might want to wait to do that. Well, I'd already done it. And I go, why? We're just about to eat. He goes, well, you don't want it to get soggy.
You're like, thank you. I have made a salad before in my life.
And I just looked at him. I go, I got it. But then later he was like, God, the salad was so good, T. I go, even though it was a little soggy. I'm like, that's a smart aleck thing to say. It did not mitigate the tension.
Yeah. No, Craig.
I might be very lucky. You're right. Maybe Maureen is, I mean,
think
she's
you're
obviously
lucky.
awesome, but like that, we do that to each other all the time. We throw those little tiebacks and throwbacks to where it's like just little sass. And it kind of, for us, it
mitigates.
The levity
Comes
mitigates.
down.
Yes.
Well, for me, it only increases.
Yeah, I'm thinking, I'm not sure
And
that's how I roll.
My intention was to give Craig a zinger. It was not to mitigate. Like,
No.
if I'm not proud of that.
It was like, keep your mouth shut
you like
when
your
I'm making the
soggy
salad.
And
And then
then
I
you like
I
your
would want
salad?
to pour a little hot water on
He's
it.
definitely right
Make it
about
really
the
soggy.
sogginess. He's right. You don't want it to let us get
It
soggy.
was time for dinner.
But
he
if
was
he's
cutting
chopping the brisket,
brisket.
y'all are about to eat, it's time.
Exactly. And I'm 52 and I've made a fucking salad. Like, I got it.
You both look like you've eaten a lot of salad in your day.
We have.
We know what to do.
We do know how to do salad.
Trust the process.
That's hilarious.
Okay, next one is very apropos. Be silent if your words can offend a person.
It's funny how these three are grouped together.
Yeah. There might be some rhyme and reason with those three, and then the next three. I don't know. We'll have to see.
You know, when I used to have I used to use sarcasm.
Yeah, you said that a lot.
And Tom
Is the one who said knock that off?
he said, I don't think that's funny.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, oh, okay. But I thought it was really
Because you're
good.
cutting my flesh. I mean, that's what it means.
tear the flesh.
Yeah, tear the flesh.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, you know, if you grow up with sarcasm, then that seems no. I have told my kids, it's not a joke unless everybody's laughing. And if you're doing a zinger to make fun of somebody, that's not fun.
No, it's not. It's not nice, is it?
Just not nice.
It's
So I
just
agree
not
with
nice.
that one.
Yeah.
Be silent if your words can offend a person.
Yeah.
Just walk away.
Yeah.
And sometimes you have to physically remove yourself
Yeah.
in order to keep your mouth shut.
Yeah. Be silent if your words can destroy a friendship.
Well, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. I would never, I can't think of anybody that I would, like my good friends.
That you would zinger
Yeah.
to the point that they would never want to be your friend again.
Yeah. That
That'd
would
be awful.
I know.
I'd feel terrible.
I would too.
I'd like to think I don't have that gear with a good friend. I've said my piece. I've put them in their place. I've said I don't agree. But to give them a zinger that I could not come back from, that would be devastating for me.
Yeah. Me too.
Next one, 5, be silent if your silence can save bonds. Well, I think that's just the opposite of be silent if your words can destroy a relationship.
Yeah, and I think, I think that one of the things, I think when I was younger, I didn't filter myself like I can now. I mean,
When you say younger, what age do you think of?
I think like in the 30s, 20s, 30s, maybe even into the 40s, like 40 to 45, something like that. That I didn't have a very good silent muscle developed.
I could not agree. I feel like I'm still working on my silent muscle.
Yeah, yeah.
I'm not proud of that. I mean, I really admire those people who can be very thoughtful, calculate, like not reactive. I can be reactive, and I don't love it about myself. I'm working on it.
Yeah.
Really hard. But if somebody zingers me, it would be very, like Craig zingered me on the golf course this weekend, and I said to him,
What did he say?
I was really proud of myself. I don't even remember what he said, but it wasn't kind.
Uh-huh.
And I said to him, I had said something to him. He zingered me back. My first thing that I said to him was not a zinger. It was like, hey, I think I said, do you have something on your mind? Like, you seem really distracted. Is there something on your mind? And he zingered me. And I like paused for a second and I said, I don't feel like that was nice. I feel like there was a much more productive way that you could have answered that. And I was really proud of myself.
Yeah.
Because then I just got in the cart and I didn't talk to him for a couple hours. I needed some space from the zinger.
You practice silence?
Yeah, I did. I just, whereas before I would have been hurled something back easily. I can be quick with my words, and which I'm not proud of.
Is not the 2 hours of silent treatment? Is that not?
Yeah, it's passive aggressive, don't you think?
Well, I just knew that if I engaged with him, it would not be productive, and so I just said, I just said,
shut your mouth and breathe.
Yeah, yeah. It really wasn't meant as a punishment. I'm like, when you can talk to me productively, let's talk.
Yeah. Yeah.
Makes sense.
Yeah, it does. It do.
But it's hard to kind of walk away sometimes when you want to hurl something back when something was hurled at you. It's hard.
Yeah.
I really like number 6. Be silent if you don't know the full story.
Yeah.
God, I think as people we should work on this. Do y'all remember that saying? It was a bit real popular years ago. Is it kind? Is it true? Is it necessary?
I don't remember.
Do you remember that?
No.
Like people.
But I like it.
Yeah, there was like a saying, and that was like people had it in their kitchens, but it's like before you talk, ask yourself 3 questions. Is it kind? Is it true? And is it necessary? And I feel like the only truth that we can speak is something we've experienced or seen, and we know the full scope of. Like, I have a really good friend whose other good friend that we both know, but they're better friends. Her husband cheats on her all the time.
Cheats on her?
Cheats on her. And it's known throughout the neighborhood, throughout our friend group, but I don't.
Lorena Bobbitt.
Yeah.
Wow.
Tom.
I don't want to hear that lady's name for the rest of my life.
No, you don't.
Don't be acting the fool.
But I am not close to this woman. I know she's an acquaintance. She's not a dear friend of mine, but they are very close friends. And I asked her one time, I said, do you guys ever talk about, like, it's kind of known that he does this. Like, have you ever said anything? Have you ever tried? And she was like, absolutely not. And I said, why? And she said, because I have never seen it. I've heard it like everybody else, but I've never seen him do that. And so it's not my truth. It's not my story.
Right. But if she has told her.
She didn't tell her anything.
It's just she has had hearsay about it.
Yes. And I was like, you know what?
Yeah, I would never talk about that to anybody else.
But she said, if I was out and I saw him with another woman fooling around, then I would go to her and say, hey, I saw blank out with some random girl and they were making out in the corner and I just wanted you to know. She was like, if I had experienced it, I would say something, but it's not, I don't have any intel. And I was like, you know, there's so many people who are like, did you hear? But what do you know? Like, what do you actually know?
Yeah, I don't really hear, people don't tell me things like that.
I feel like it just gets out. Like, I feel like stuff can get out.
Oh, I'm sure it can.
Yeah.
Especially if they're parading around.
Yeah.
But, yeah.
I mean, I don't hear a lot about it, but like, I know that like, I have friends who like all their kids go to this private school or all their kids live in this neighborhood. And so there's a lot of crossover and talk in those schools or neighborhoods or whatever. I don't have a lot of it in my personal life because my world is super diverse.
My friends are too old to fool around. They're like, oh, never.
Thank God it's none of my friends. But like, if you're just like at a football game and then like everybody knows that this woman is fooling around or like people just talk a lot. People talk a lot. So anyway, I just feel like that's a good guideline. Like if you don't know the full story, if you don't know it, I think we should keep our mouths shut.
Yeah.
Like I hated, I'm sure you did too, when I was getting divorced and people speculating about why I got, like people really want to know. And I never gave them the full story.
Yeah.
And so, and I just asked everybody, just, you don't know, I'm never going to tell you. And so I would just prefer that people don't talk about it.
Yeah, well, of course not. It's nobody's business.
It's nobody's business.
No.
But a lot of people make it their business.
Yeah.
Okay, you want to take 7, one of y'all?
Tom, you want to go?
Sure. Be silent if speaking will only serve to boost your ego or seek validation.
Be silent if speaking.
This is like the first thing that comes to mind for me would just be like
gossip,
bragging, or just like end zone dancing, like when you win or you know you're right about something.
Yeah.
And
yeah.
like, and I told you so kind of a situation.
Yeah, or maybe like you're out with somebody and somebody starts talking about somebody else that having an affair or whatever that is, just to kind of boost their ego.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
You know, I think
One
when
up.
you do
There's a
talk
one
about
up.
that, then it's like, okay, well then I feel better about myself, or somebody might think, I can talk about that. But yeah.
Well, it's just like when you were in middle school and somebody was saying something about you. You went home and your mom was like, well, she's just jealous. And that didn't make any sense to you.
Yeah.
Like they're obviously trying to one up.
Yeah.
And you don't understand it when you're 12 or 13, but then you grow up and you're like, yeah, that's exactly why they do that.
It's true. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. To somehow elevate their status.
Yeah.
I think a lot of people struggle with that. I think probably men, this is my opinion, would love to hear y'all's opinion. I think men tend to lean more toward the boost their ego, and I think women tend to lean a little bit more toward the seek validation.
Yeah. But
that sounds right.
Yeah, I think so too, but I think they can both do both.
Yes.
Too.
There's no doubt about that.
Yeah.
But when I think about people talking about ego, I think people refer to men having a big ego more than a woman, even though women can very much have
women have egos. Mm-hmm. Yeah, for sure.
And men certainly seek validation.
Yeah.
But I think they both kind of have the same end goal. It's just kind of which way do you go about it.
Mm-hmm. Okay, be silent if your words can betray someone's trust or confidentiality. I think that is very important.
Heck yeah.
Mm-hmm.
You know? My friend group, and I don't know if a lot of it is because we are older. My friend group, we never talk about anybody. And my friends don't talk about other people. They don't talk about hearsay. They don't. It's very interesting. I can remember years ago there being a lot more than that. And I think maybe when you get to be my age and the age of my friends, we're just kind of like, who cares? You know, I mean, we're tired.
When you say that, it cracks me up.
Yeah, we just don't need to. Don't.
I also think you're in the sweet spot of life that you really don't have to engage with anybody that you don't want to engage with.
That's right.
I mean, your kids are out of high school, elementary school, so you're not on a soccer field with 10 other moms that you'd rather not be standing next to. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So you really can be picky about where your time
Yeah.
and space goes.
Yes.
And I think that's the difference about being older.
I think it is too. I think that you just don't need any of that.
No,
at
you're
all.
not going to a soccer party for 3 hours with 3 other women that you'd rather not hang out with.
Yeah, or maybe you're jealous with or something.
Yeah,
about
or maybe
something
they're
like
jealous
that.
of you, or maybe they're gossipers, but you're not. And
Yeah.
you can just get real picky when you get older about where you spend your time.
Yeah, yeah.
I feel that happening with me and my friends. Like my best friends, we're not sitting around the table gossiping.
Yeah.
And my friends, I could tell you with 100% assurance, and I think you could safely say the same. My friends would never talk bad about me.
Yeah.
I could trust any one of my friends going to a lunch or a dinner or a happy hour and me not be there, and I would never have to worry about them saying anything unkind about me.
I agree. I agree. They just don't, there's no need in it. You just kind of outgrow it. I mean, that's
Totally.
kind of a middle school mentality.
But that a lot of 20, 30s, and even
Yeah.
some 40s and
Yeah.
50s and 60s are still living.
Yeah.
Don't get out of. But I think I think that is such. If you say stuff that could betray someone's trust or confidentiality, I don't know how you have any friends.
Yeah, I don't either.
Because I would never be friends with somebody, like good friends with somebody who could do that to me.
Yeah, I agree.
All right, you got it, Tom?
Yes. Number 9, be silent when you are unsure about a topic or lacking knowledge. This one is apropos for politics. I feel like when I'm around, or when I see, I'm not always around these people, but when I see people on television or out and about at a lake in particular,
That's hilarious.
when I see people that are part of the cult, I'm not going to say which guy, but they're just part of the cult. They're the people they're the ones that need to be silent, because I feel like they are so lacking of knowledge and unsure about why they're part of the cult. Makes me insane. Can I just tell you this quick story?
Sure.
We were at the lake, and I took our boat across to get some gas, and I pull up to the gas station. Right after I'm done, I'm about to pull out of there in the boat, and this other huge, too big for a lake boat comes backing in, and the name of this monstrosity was Stimulus Package. That was the name painted on the back of this guy's boat. That is just so obnoxious. Anyway, and on this boat there were 4 cult flags.
Are
Okay.
you talking about, who are you talking about?
Talking about Trump.
Yes. So there were 4 of these flags flying proudly on this boat that has the name Stimulus Package. That is, the irony was so thick, it was just, it made me insane. I was driving back, I was grinding my teeth, because I'm like, this moron doesn't even understand. He took free money for a boat and has cult flags on it. It's just insane.
Well, to your point, because I don't want to talk about Trump, and I certainly don't want to talk about Biden. I don't want to talk
said
about
that name.
either one.
You
of them.
said that name.
I know, but I don't want to talk about.
I don't want to talk about either one of them.
I don't either. But what I will say is, I could not agree more with this, because even when I'm lacking, like, if people are having a big heated debate about something and I don't have enough information, and they kind of want me to have a dog in the fight, and they're like, Tova, what do you think? I'll say, I don't have a dog in this fight.
I say that all the time.
I don't know
do
enough
too.
about this. That
Yeah.
I don't care enough. I have no energy around it. Pick your saying. That's what I'm going to say.
Yep. I'm exactly where you are.
And I bet I feel super strongly to speak up in that kind of heated situation about like 3 things, maybe, in life. Like, I would just rather not get worked up about and have that energy about any. I feel like when it comes right down to it, I don't have enough information about almost anything
Yeah.
to like really stand on a stage and piss all over the audience.
Well, and to me, it's kind of like, okay, well, can't we get somebody that's a little better than this? But who would want to do it? Who would want to be?
It's the only reason we can get
is.
morons in office is because of what the media, that's something I feel strongly about. Like,
Yeah.
Yeah.
what the media does to it. I can't run for president because they're going to find out, they're going to talk about the things I've done, and I've done nothing. And I don't want my kids to know.
Yeah.
I don't want my parents to know. I don't want my siblings to know.
Yeah.
You know, it's like
I know.
what they have access to. Nobody wants the exposure. So you either have to be a moron or a narcissist
Well,
to run.
I just think that I wouldn't. I would not sit at a table and talk about one word about it. Honestly, and truly.
Like we had to that one day.
Yes, that. Oh my God!
Yes. See that's
that's the gift that keeps on giving.
It really
And
and,
it-
truly.
I mean, you want to
is.
talk about a power down? Like you just imagine, like in a movie, like a big power down, like a whole. Yes, yes.
Just. Man,
Like,
I just can't believe it. We're going to run out of money. The money's not going to be there anymore.
That really, it's funny that lady should have been silent that whole lunch.
She really should.
We should
have.
send her this remedy.
We should. We should. It was nonsense. It was the craziest thing. I will never forget sitting there looking at you and then looking at Tom and looking at her and thinking, where are we? Are we on Mars?
It felt like Mars.
It did.
It felt like Mars.
Oh, God.
Okay, take us home, Janice. Last but not least.
Okay, number 10. Be silent when someone is sharing their personal struggles or vulnerabilities.
How do you feel about that?
Well, it depends on what I would probably do with that. If I were sitting with someone who is sharing their personal struggles or whatever, I mean, if I had a real strong opinion, I might say, I have an opinion about that. Are you interested in hearing it? But I don't really want to. If you're not paying me, I'm not interested in it. If you want to know the truth.
So when you, like, if you go to lunch with your girlfriends and one of your girlfriends is struggling with something, what kind of friend are you when you have all of this knowledge swimming around in your, really, and like you're smart, you have history, you've seen this before. You like, how do you go about that?
Well, I would say if I felt like I really had something important to say in reference to that, I would say, I have a thought about this. Would you like to hear it? And because I really don't step into that on just my own. I just don't feel like it's appropriate. If somebody wants my direct opinion about it, you know, I will ask. And if they say, yeah, I would actually really like to hear what you say, then I would do it for sure. But otherwise, I just don't, because it's just, I don't know.
And do you feel like your opinions or thoughts or suggestions change between a friend and a client, or do you find that those are pretty much well aligned?
Oh, I think they're totally different. A client is, I would definitely, I mean, they're there to talk about it and to get my opinion.
Right.
You know, and I will say, even with a client, I have a thought. You all right with that? And then I tell them, but I don't, with a client, of course, yeah, I absolutely will talk to them about it, and I'll be very straight with them.
Oh, I know. Oh, do I know? In the best way. I mean, it's why we go to therapy, you know, to have somebody tell us something. But I wonder how Like my kids will come into my room and be like, Mom, I really need your advice on something. And I could tell they want to hear from me. And then I think there's other times they're like, Mom, please don't do that with me right now.
Yeah, my girls do the same thing. Yeah.
So I think it is a little bit more delicate when it's a friendship or a family versus somebody coming to you and paying you for your expert advice.
Yeah.
Which
or
is,
even an opinion.
Yeah.
You know, because it's not, I don't always know what's the right thing to do or not the right thing to do, but I would probably have an opinion about it.
Yeah. I think that's one of your strong suits is you typically have a very strong opinion about things, which is amazing. It is. I don't always
agree with it.
Isn't that the truth? Shit, that's not what I wanted to hear.
Exactly.
Well, I do think sometimes we talk too much, and we could do better about keeping our mouth shut.
The one thing I thought they left off this list.
Oh, yeah. What were you going to say?
Just the simple, be silent when other people are talking. I feel like that is like that should be rule number one. When other people are speaking, just be silent the whole time.
Do you feel like people interrupt you too much?
Not so much me, just in general. I mean, like, for example, that debate the other night, like they had to literally cut their mics off because they were never listening to each other. They were just blah, 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 blah. And I feel like it's like that everywhere. I mean, at council meetings and PTA meetings, and I think rule one should just be when somebody's talking, just listen.
I'm going to take that a step further because I like that and say, especially if somebody's talking, try to be an active listener and not just think about what you're going to say next. I think active listening is a really difficult thing to do because as people, we just, we want to get our word in. And to your point, I think when you're really not listening to people, I'm annoyed by being with somebody who's not a good listener.
Yep. I
think it's kind of annoying. So I like your addition, Tom. Very well. Okay, now you can start our music. Hope y'all have an amazing week.
Okay, let me get back to the piano.